Here I am doing a waterless wash. Had to pick a little bit of grit off the car first. And here we are spraying it down with Wolfgang Uber Rinseless, diluted a little heavier than recommended, 4 ounces per gallon. Starting with the hood, wiping it down, picking out little pieces of tree grit, making sure I'm working clean. Using my budget Costco yellow towels. They don't truly give you 8 sides because they're dual nap, so I just use the plush side. So basically 4 different sides. One to wipe with, one to kind of buff it dry with. Working on the hood primarily. Again, Wolfgang Uber Rinseless, diluted 4 ounces per gallon in just a cheapo Walmart, I think it's called a wide mouth spray bottle. So the car had been rained on and was still wet. So I thought it was a good time to clean it before we got a lot of water spots. And there really wasn't a lot of dirt. I almost went straight for a spray wax, but I ended up just simply doing a waterless wash. And you can see I'm spending a lot of time on the hood, picking some more grit out of the towel. That's why I like those yellow towels. You can see any kind of foreign material, any little bits of twigs or trees or anything else. And finally finishing up the hood here. The garage is a little bit cramped, but I did my best to get the scan grip pointed right at where we're working so we can see everything. And back to the windshield. Not as particular with working clean on the windshield, not exactly worried about scratching things there. So continuing with the same towel, wiping out kind of the cowl area. There was a lot of grit and tree junk down in there. And back around to the other side of the windshield, giving it a good spray down. The great thing about the Wolfgang Uber Rinseless diluted is it's so cheap. It costs practically nothing. The distilled water, I think, costs more than the concentrated cleaner. Here I am getting all that nasty crap out of the window channel. Unlike the old days when windows had chrome trim, here it just kind of falls right into that crack. So I got my Griot's soft boar's hair interior detailing brush. That stuff has only been on there since the night before, but it still took a little bit of work. If anything, the brush is too soft, so you kind of have to hold the bristles together and just kind of try to scoop through the channel and get things to get out of there. I also have my little Eastwood trim tool there, which is made for working on interior panels without marring. So I was kind of using that right against the rubber seal right at the body gap there. Just couldn't get it to move with just using the brush. And here we are back to the windshield. A lot of the the tree fallout had kind of gathered right there, so wiping that out, picking it out as needed. The worst of that was on the windshield area, a little bit on the roof. And finishing up the A-pillar there, getting the last few pieces of that out of there. I did use a little bit of compressed air as well. Just seemed to really want to stick to it. Finally finishing up the windshield, that cowl area. Again, there's just a lot of grit to get out of there. Onto the roof, wasn't much grit on there. There was a little bit along where those roof rails go, so I had picked that out and reaching on the roof that I can there. Now I'm just tall enough to reach it from every side. Not the best camera angle, sorry about that. And reappearing on the other corner there. The garage is just enough room to get around one car and do this. If it was any tighter, I'd have to actually move the car from one side to the other. Plenty of room front to back. And you don't have to be stingy with the product. Like I said, it's really cheap, and the more stuff we can spray on there, the safer the wash is going to be. And you can adjust that obviously based on how dirty the car is and or how wet it is. And onto the front left. Really not a lot of dirt. I kind of inspect it every swipe or two to see if there's a dirt line appearing. And you can make just subtle adjustments in your grip to make sure that that's using a clean part of the towel each time. And along the window channel and around the mirror, had a few more, tree fallout pieces to get out of there. I wanted that gone before I started scrubbing with the towel. Again, it's a Grio's interior brush, really soft, so you don't mar any of your really soft plastics, but I have that one designated for outside exterior use around badges and window trim. I use it when I wash the car. If you're curious, the Wolfgang Uber Rinseless is only available in a gallon size. It's still a great deal. If you catch a deal on it, it's probably 40 or 50 bucks a gallon. But if you're just an enthusiast or washing a few cars a week, even if you do a lot of rinseless or waterless wash, it will last you forever. If you're doing a rinseless wash, I think it's 1 ounce to 3 gallons of water. I think that's right. Clay lube, 1 ounce per gallon. Waterless wash or quick detail spray, 3 ounces per gallon. I mix it at about 4. Because more slippery, more polymers, the better. And finish up in the bottom. That's where I really want to make sure that I'm working clean. Start with the clean part of the towel again. Like I said, those are dual nap towels, and I only like to use the plush side. So I really kind of have two sections there. There's one, you flip it over and dry it. Then as you flip the whole towel, you get another side, but I don't really get 8 workable sides. Making sure to get into the door handles. Make sure to work clean, pick that stuff out of there. That's why I don't like to use a dark towel, any kind of like royal blue or anything for waterless wash. It's just too hard to see those little specks of grit. And I figure you got to pick them out of there sometime, either now or when you go to put them in the laundry. And since I wasn't on the clock here, this is just my car, I figured I'd pick some of the grit out of the towel as I go. Without that scan grip light, I'd be working in darkness. I mean, the garage has one light bulb up above, and I would not be able to do this without some kind of extra light. That's actually, you can see that's really lighting things up, almost too bright. And of course it can be turned down, but I kind of wanted to see what I was doing. When I approach a waterless wash like this, just a somewhat quick wash, at this point, this particular time, I did not even address the wheels, tires, wheel wells. Strictly just the outside surface minus wheels, tires. The back on these Subarus, these hatches seem to get dirtier than the whole rest of the car put together. It kind of seems to kick up a lot of dirt right on the back there. The window will be dirty, the rear hatch will be dirty, the bumper, everything will be pretty much picking up all the dirt there. By comparison, the hood and the roof were not that dirty at all. That's one of the spots you have to kind of tuck the towel in to get all around the little pivot there on the wiper blade. When I'm starting with the dry towel again, sometimes it seems like a good idea to spray just a little bit on there. That might seem counterintuitive since we're trying to dry the car off, but generally we don't want to apply a dry towel. I know there's solution on the car, but one little spritz on the towel just seems to give that little extra insurance, soften up the towel a little bit. So you got a slightly wet towel, wet surface, going around and getting the window all completely dry there. I tend to spend a little bit of time on the back here because it is the dirtiest part of the car. Sorry, I'm standing in my own light there. A lot of nooks and crannies there between the wing at the top of the rear window there. very easy to miss the dirt there and not get it clean and dried. And you got to work around the badges, the tail lights. That step bumper there is horizontal, so it tends to attract a little bit of dirt right at the front edge of that rubber insert there. Definitely picking up some dirt there. I think these Costco towels are just the right size plushness for a job like this. I don't like to use a super plush 500 GSM towel for this. Just since you're going to be picking up dirt, it seems to get buried too far in the towel. I think these are soft enough to be safe on your clear coat, not scratch, and yet actually wash clean. So this is just about right. A 2 or 3 350 GSM towel is about right. So we're finally moving on to the passenger side. I think for total, I used 7 towels for the entire project here. Towels and laundry are cheap. Clear coat is less so. The more solution and the more towels you're able to reasonably use, the better. As I get further and further down the car, down between that body line and the trim, right where I'm at there, and then of course that black plastic trim, that's where you're going to get a lot of the dirt. On that black plastic trim, it can be a little hard to see there. I'm less, I don't want to say careful, but a little less careful when I get to that black trim there. I just don't feel like I'm going to put scratches in it. It's a little tougher. Again, I'm not reckless with it, but if the towel's a little bit dirty and I'd be hesitant to put it in the middle of the door, I might still use that towel for the plastic border trim on the bottom. Again, same with the windows. You don't need to be super cautious with them. When I get to paint again, I'm going to make sure I've got a clean side of the towel. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of frame there. Moving up to the right-hand side front fender. You notice I started at the opposite fender to the hood, the roof, then the fender, sorry, moved my way around. I tend to leave the front for the last. It's just kind of a habit. In the summertime, that might be where all the dead bugs are. I wouldn't want to contaminate my mitt, so I usually always end up kind of doing that last. Here I'm using the brush, speed it up here, to get some of that tree junk out of the, it's not a honeycomb grill, but there's a lot of pockets there. So I'm using that soft brush, all those nooks and crannies around the headlight, that black grill, the other headlight, and then addressing headlights and the painted surfaces there. A lot of little nooks and crannies there around the little fog light areas and that right above the license plate, below the license plate. There's just a lot of places you got to get your hand in to do a good job of it. This is a great place for compressed air, just to be able to blow all those little pockets out of the grill. But there's a reasonable number of them, and they're big enough you can kind of get the towel in there, give them a quick wipe down. And those little spots right there, you see I just kind of run my hand along there, put some pressure on it so it gets in all the nooks and crannies there. And I like to clean all the painted surface all the way to the bottom. There's kind of like, I guess that's for airflow there. And then there's kind of a flimsy body portion on the very bottom there. Finishing up with the very bottom. So again, that can potentially be a pretty dirty part of the car, so I wrap up with that.